Do I regret not getting a mortgage since I've lived in the United Kingdom for more than 20 years? This is a question that I got from one of our viewers, and he left a comment in the comments box. But before I answer that, I'd like to give you a bit of context, because sometimes when I speak, people assume that I should have done this or I should have done that without understanding the thought process behind why I made certain decisions in my life. So first of all, I'd like to start by saying when I came to the United Kingdom, a lot of people, including some of my friends I went to school with, went straight into the nursing industry. Well, as for me, I've got a lot of passion in IT. In fact, I had a qualification in Microsoft and Cisco. So I always wanted to gear myself towards anything to do with IT. So at the time, majority of people went into the nursing industry and the care work side of things, but I didn't, and I've never worked as a nurse or as a care assistant, whatever. Does that mean that it was a bad move that I didn't go into nursing? Do I look down upon people that did nursing? Absolutely not, because at the end of the day, people have their choices. So me saying this is not discouraging anyone to go into nursing, because I've noticed that sometimes when I say a statement, it comes across as if I am discouraging people or I'm advising people. I see it a lot in the comments. People are now calling me an advisor. I'm not an advisor. As a matter of fact, in this issue about mortgages, I'm not a mortgage advisor. I was just literally sharing my experience and why I chose the route that I chose. So I'm not in any way advising anyone or looking down upon anyone. No, people have choices and they are entitled to their own choices. Anyway, that said, when I came over here, a lot of people were going into the nursing industry. I didn't. So I started pursuing financial freedom. And I was really in a situation where I did not know how to do that. And through my research, I came across a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, prior to that, I've been doing shifts just like anybody else. We used to work in industries, factories, and so on and so forth. And it was really painful for me, to be working that way. Yes, those guys who were doing the nurses, they were getting their bursaries and all of that. They were in a very good state, but I had to go through the rough, tough work of working in these factories and so on, which I was comfortable with because there's a choice that I did. Anyway, I came across this book later on called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It explained a lot of things which I found very fascinating. And I picked a few things from that book in terms of how I wanted to shape my life. And I decided very early on that I wanted to have my own business. And the reason why I wanted to have my own business was because I wanted to pursue financial freedom. That's all I wanted. I don't care about driving expensive cars. I don't care about looking rich. I don't care about having multiple houses. That's not me. I am happy when I don't have money issues. I'm happy when I don't owe anyone anything. And if my business can achieve that, well, that is what I was aiming for. So anyway, now that I have that out of the way, do I regret not getting a mortgage? No, I don't regret it. And as a matter of fact, today, if you were to give me 40,000 pounds, would I get a mortgage? Absolutely not. I would not do that. So I do not regret getting a mortgage, because getting a mortgage would then require me to be stuck in one place working to make sure that that mortgage is paid off. And I didn't want that. Because for me, I'm a bit crazy. I like freedom. I like traveling. And I like just packing my bag and just going wherever I want to go without me committing to a 9-to-5. I'm anti 9-to-5. Again, disclaimer here. Am I saying 9-to-5 is not good? No, I'm not saying that. If it works for you, fantastic. But for me, it doesn't work for me. 9-to-5 doesn't work for me. I don't like the idea of feeling like I'm enslaved, where I have to take orders for me to survive. No, I don't like that. And besides, if I were to do a 9-to-5, it meant that I would have to retire at the retirement age, then get my pension, which I do not want to do. Again, I'm not saying don't get a pension. I'm not saying retire now. No, That's just me. That is what I like, and that is how I prefer to live my life. Anyway, so the reason also for me not regretting getting that mortgage is the fact that I don't like the idea of debt. Of course, some of you say there's good debt and you celebrate debt and debt is okay. That works for you. It doesn't work for me. As soon as I get debt, it's a lot of pressure on my shoulders. I like having financial freedom. I like having money on the side where I know I've got a 5,000 there, which is for emergencies. If something was to happen right now and I need money, I know I've got some emergency money. And most importantly, I have cash flow. So my idea of how I want to live my life is, number one, to retire very early. As a matter of fact, I'm 40, what? Is it 46 now? I'm forgetting. In fact, that's a sign that I'm getting old. I would like to retire in perhaps maybe 1 or 2 years. I don't want to wait until I'm 67. Why? So for me to achieve that retirement, I would need to do drastic things. I don't mind going into business, trying things out, losing money, and so on and so forth. I don't mind that. As a matter of fact, I do not recommend anyone to follow my footsteps or to even follow my advice. Because if you listen to what I'm saying on these YouTube videos, basically what I'm covering is a small aspect of a bigger picture. So you're not going to get the full picture. So what some people have done in the past and even quite recently, after watching my videos, they'll call me directly and say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking of doing this in Zimbabwe. What do you think? You see, now that approach is different. I would probably advise you to the best of my knowledge based on what I see on the ground and based on what the person is telling me, because there's no way I'm going to say something here and it applies to every single person out there. No. Some of you, you're high income earners. You definitely earn way more than me, right? I can't tell you not to take a mortgage. Perhaps you can even afford to have 3 mortgages. Who am I to tell you you can't take a mortgage? That's not the point. So I will never have a video ever that will cover every single person's situation out there. No, it has to be on an individual basis. So when you come into the comments box and you say, well, I'm advising people wrong, or I'm misleading people, or this is misinformation, please understand that I'm not speaking to you as an individual. You have your own situation, you have your own reasons why you did what you did, and pretty much that's it. I'm just sharing my story here, and that's what this is about. Anyway, let's continue on and talk about pretty much how I like to shape my life. I like early retirement. Why? Because I don't like pressure. Zimbabwe. Some of you hate Zimbabwe. I love Zimbabwe. Okay? It has its problems. So what? UK has its problems. So what? Some love the diaspora. Some love Zimbabwe. Anyone can just choose what they prefer because we're all different. So as for me, I would love to retire in Zimbabwe. And that's it. If Zimbabwe doesn't work out for me, I will choose another country. Right? The UK. Am I bashing the UK? Do I hate the UK? Absolutely not. The UK is where I've spent majority of my adult life. I have a lot of memories in the UK, and in fact, it shaped who I am. Had I been in Zimbabwe, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So the UK plays a very important part in my life. Does that mean that because I want to retire in Zimbabwe, I'll never go back to the UK? No. I will go back to the UK every now and so often. And as a matter of fact, my business is registered in the UK. So just because I have a different viewpoint doesn't necessarily mean that I hate the country. So let's stop this idea of if you don't like something, it means you hate it. Okay? It doesn't work like that. Life is not black and white like that. Okay? So some of you are going to see me in the UK and start saying, oh, he's back in the UK. He failed. He's done. He's that. He's this. He's that. Calm down. Okay? UK is also my home. Don't forget that. I've got kids who have British passports. So I cannot just say, cut ties and that's it. No. This is my story, and it can change tomorrow. It can change today. Who knows? Right now, as a matter of fact, in my business, I'm seeing that I'm being taxed a lot because it's an online business, but I'm being charged a lot of VAT. So if this continues to a point where it really is getting on my nerves, who knows? I may register a business in Dubai. I may even live in Dubai or in the Middle East somewhere. Right? Does that mean I hate UK? No. It's just doing things that work out better for me. Okay? Who knows? Maybe this idea of retiring in Zimbabwe is not a good idea. After 5 years, I decide, well, you know what? I don't like it at all. I can change my mind. But does that mean that I've failed? No. It just means that the goals can be shifted, and it's okay to shift these goalposts. Now, let's talk specifically about this mortgage idea. For me, I didn't like the idea of being tied down when it comes to the mortgage. And also, the money that was meant to go towards the mortgage, right? I invested it in my business. And you know what? That is the best thing that I've ever done. The best thing that I've ever done. I've spent all that money on the business. It doesn't mean that there was no point where I had 20K cash. I had 20K cash at some point, but I put it into the business, and boy, did it pay out. In fact, right now I have freedom where I can just up and go to the UK anytime. I can up and go to Zimbabwe anytime without any stress, because my business now is based online. As long as I have internet, I'm pretty much good. So it is one of the best decisions that I've ever made, not taking on a mortgage. So, and I'm glad I took that decision. Does it work for you? Maybe not. Maybe you're not as crazy as me. As a matter of fact, I am crazy, because I'll give you a very good example. Who takes 40K, invests it in Zimbabwe on some retirement program, as well as setting up a business, and then you lose it all. You lose the whole 40K, and then still insists on continuing with that business. Who does that in their normal mind? Very few people. A lot would have even said, you know what, I'm done. 40K is a lot of money. It's not a joke having 40,000 and losing 40,000 on a project as basic as a chicken business, right? It's not easy. To some people, that's life-changing money, but I lost it. But I haven't given up. That takes someone who's crazy to actually do that. Even earlier on today, I was speaking to my daughter, and she was saying, well, Dad, if I'd lost 40K, I would have definitely walked away from that business. And that's what I would assume a lot of people would do. They would walk away from that business totally without even thinking about it. Well, with me, I'm still hanging in there. Maybe it's because I'm emotional. I don't know. But I still see opportunities, and I also see where I went wrong. And I can fix those things going forward. So that's the idea really behind me continuing with this chicken business, or farming rather, in Zimbabwe. So that's the idea behind the craziness. So sometimes people would look at me and say, well, look at him. Because, you know, when I remember some people thought I was crazy that I left the UK to then come to Zimbabwe, while people are crying to go to the UK. They thought I was crazy. So they would say, look at him, you know, his car is not even moving, you know, he's finished, he doesn't even have any money. Well, I'm one of those people who I do not buckle under pressure of looking rich. I don't care about looking rich. Whereas a lot of people feel like to be significant, they have to look rich. I don't care about that. I can have 20K in my accounts, and I'll go and buy a $3,000 car. That's me. I would never go and buy a brand new car, because personally, I don't think it's a good move. I will not get a car on finance, because personally, I don't think it's a good move. You can argue and say, well, I don't have to stress about the insurance, or no, not insurance, MOT. I don't have to stress about getting the car fixed. If something goes wrong with it, I can just take it back. It has warranty and all that. We can debate this all day, every day. But at the end of the day, you cannot convince me to take a car in that manner. You can't, because I just see that. In fact, you know what? Sometimes when I get money, I look at the money and I say to myself, well, this is 500 pounds. Instead of just spending this money, I'm thinking in chickens. I'm thinking 500 chickens? How much profit would I make if I were to buy 500 chicks? I know it sounds crazy, but that's how I'm thinking. If I get £1,000, I'm thinking, this £1,000, you know what? I could actually buy a solar battery. That's how I'm thinking. If I get another £1,000, I'm thinking, well, with this £1,000, you know what? I could set up a system for vermicompost so I can grow my organic vegetables. That's how I'm thinking. Whereas most people are thinking, well, you know what? I need to buy the latest shoe, or the latest this, the latest that. If you see me buying a new iPhone, it's because I want it for filming. That iPhone has to return my money. It has to return my money. I use the iPhone for filming so many times. It's amazing. But people see me with an iPhone, they're like, wow, he's got an iPhone, he's crazy, he's following the... I'm doing it because the iPhone is used for filmmaking. For me, I use it for filmmaking. Before I started making all these videos, I would have the, like an old version of the iPhone. I don't care. As long as I've got WhatsApp, I can call and I can do basic things on the phone, I'm fine. But right now, if they release a new iPhone with a 1-inch sensor, definitely I'm going to buy that, because it means I can film on the go, and it's very, very easy for me to do that. So I'm not one of those people that like these fancy things or like to look fancy. I can actually go and live on a farm and not even care about what anyone thinks. Even if they say, oh, you've been in the UK for such and such a time, but you're living in the farm. How can you do that? Look at him, it's a waste of time. I don't care about that, because I don't like pressure. I like breathing without pressure. I don't like pressure. I like a simple life and eat my organic food and basically have money coming in. It doesn't have to be thousands a month. I don't chase money. I chase freedom, financial freedom. That's what I chase. I don't chase money. So even if I retire in a house, a tiny house, 2-bedroom house, I'm happy with that. I don't have to have a mansion in Borodale for me to say I've made it. No, me making it is being stress-free. And that's what I thrive to get. So now that I've given you this context, do you understand now why I don't like debts? I don't like credit cards. I don't like mortgages. Do you understand now? Well, I hope you understand, because that's where I was coming from. So if you're someone who wants to go and get a mortgage, assess your situation. Assess your situation. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not a 9-to-5 person. So I can't speak for anyone who's doing a 9-to-5 and say, don't take a mortgage. No. So assess your situation. What works for you, then go with that. If you were to call me and ask me on a personal level what your situation is, perhaps maybe I'll give you a totally different answer, which will contradict what I say in my videos, because it's based on a one-to-one situation. I had a call a few weeks ago where this guy said to me, I want to go into the chicken business. I want to start with 5,000. Do you know what I say to the guy? I say to him, listen, 5,000 chickens is a lot of chickens. Do you have a refrigeration system? Do you have a blast freezer? He said no. So why would you want to just go in and do 5,000 chickens? Now, do you know why I responded in that manner? It's because of my experience. I've done the chickens, and I have experience in it, so I speak from experience. So anyway, to cut the story short, I say to the guy, first invest in what? Commercial freezers. So that when you slaughter all your chickens, at least you have somewhere to what? To put them, if no one comes and buys straight away. And secondly, don't start with 5,000. Start with 500 and learn the whole process and gradually increase these batches until you get your big high numbers, because you're going to learn a lot with these smaller batches. So do you see now? I would probably give you advice on a one-to-one basis. So please don't take a video that I do here and then assume that I'm speaking to everyone and that's what everyone should do. Anyway, guys, I hope that is very clear. And to every single one of you that is taking time out to comment, I really appreciate you taking your time out to comment. I mean, it really keeps the channel very active, and a lot of you are asking questions. And of course, there are some crazy people that say some nasty stuff, but for the most part, you know, it's mostly positive. We don't focus on negativity. We focus on positivity. What I would like to hear as well is those people, I know there's one or two that commented, but I'd like to hear from those that took mortgages and now regret it. Please, just share your experience in the comments box, because at least that gives us a much better perspective into this mortgage idea. Because some people feel under pressure to get a mortgage and then they struggle with it. Some people feel under pressure to take a mortgage and it works out for them. So I'd like to hear both stories. So please leave your comments in the comments box below. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. And I will, see you in the next one. Take care.